San Miguel de Allende.
Guys, this is a city that we've been wanting to come to for a long time. We've heard amazing things about it. Now that we're here, it really is awesome, but it actually reminds us of another one of our favorite cities in Mexico, San Cristobal de las Casas.
Yep, so in today's video, we are gonna directly compare both cities, kind of give you the pros and cons and tell you which one we'd prefer.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into it. My biggest regret so far about San Miguel de Allende, though, is that I did not film Lauren's initial reaction to this building right here, which we can see from our hotel. Just look at that place. Yeah, guys, Lauren's reaction when she first saw that castle.
Yeah, I don't even call it a church. It looks like a castle.
Yeah, it's like a castle. You're right.
It's such a beautiful day today that we decided to come out here in nature and film this video. We are currently at the El Charco Jardín Botánico, which is a really beautiful kind of cactus botanical garden out here in San Miguel de Allende. We're gonna find a nice, comfy little spot and get started on the video.
All right, guys, so we're just gonna start by comparing both cities in some very important categories.
Yeah, I think first we're going to touch on price and cost of living because I think that is one of the most important categories that we can talk about.
For me, absolutely. I think for most people.
For most people. And so the winner for this category is going to have to be San Cristobal.
Definitely. San Cristobal is much more affordable than San Miguel. Pretty much in every category across the board, like even just going to get your morning coffee makes a significant difference. San Cristobal, which is in Chiapas, that's probably some of the most affordable areas in Mexico entirely. It's one of the,
It is one of the more affordable areas, and you can really tell, especially if you're directly comparing both cities and looking at what we've spent in each one so far. And being in San Miguel de Allende right now really opens our eyes to like how much money we're really spending here.
Yeah, anywhere in central Mexico in general is just more expensive than, you know, Yucatan, Chiapas, Oaxaca. Still very affordable, but not comparable to southern Mexico. As far as housing goes, so we've done a little bit of Airbnb, a lot of places we're only staying about a month in. We've done some marketplace shopping, and we've talked to some people who live there like on leases. Now, leases are always going to be your cheapest option. So if you're going to stay somewhere for 6 months to a year, you're going to want to look around for a more affordable place on marketplace and just by talking to locals, looking for rent signs.
Yeah, or even going to an agency or something like that. You're definitely going to save more money than you would if you're going to do like monthly stays on Airbnb.
Right. In San Cristobal, we regularly saw about $400, even on Airbnb, just with a monthly discount. You could book and it came with everything, you know, utensils, appliances, Wi-Fi, things like that.
Whereas we looked at a few monthly stays here in San Miguel, there are a ton of expensive ones. So like in the $700 to $800 range.
You know, I've seen people pay as low as $200 a month in San Cristobal when they're on a lease. But I've seen people pay as low as $400 here. So you can definitely find affordable housing in both places. The best deals are not always listed online. It's just a fact of life, I think, almost anywhere.
Yeah, and we do see a lot of like for rent signs with a phone number hanging in like building windows or like on the outside of a building. So even just like word of mouth or calling somebody via WhatsApp, you could probably get a better deal. For the next category, we're gonna do location and proximity. So basically like how isolated is the city, how close to the airport it is, just like the overall convenience.
Yeah, we're gonna tie all types of convenience into it. The big winner there is definitely San Miguel de Allende.
Yeah.
For one thing, just being in central Mexico, this is a hugely populated area. You got the biggest airport in Mexico, one of the biggest in the Americas, Mexico City.
Yep.
And then you have cities surrounding you, so you're gonna have access to anything and everything you could possibly want. You know, you could be in Mexico City in a few hours.
You're really close to a lot of largely populated cities.
Whereas San Cristobal, the only close big city is Tuxtla Gutierrez.
Yeah, Tuxtla Gutierrez.
And it is close. It's like under an hour probably. It depends on the traffic. There is an airport that flies back and forth to the United States, but it's generally more expensive.
It is more expensive.
But I will say San Cristobal in general just feels like a bigger city, and it has a bit more big city convenience in the city itself. Like a couple examples, it just has more international brands like a Walmart. There's no Walmart here
Yeah.
in San Miguel.
There's a lot more chains as well. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you would want this, but in the centro of San Cristobal, there's a lot of chains like Burger King, Subway, and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas we've noticed in San Miguel de Allende, there's like a McDonald's and a Burger King on the outskirts, but in the centro, the only big chain we've seen is Starbucks.
Starbucks and Domino's. Yeah.
And Domino's.
Both have any type of restaurant you could almost think of. But I think San Cristobal has a bit more variety, especially in the city center. So when we were staying in San Cristobal, we were in walking distance to like 3 different Indian restaurants and just some amazing restaurants. Like our favorite was Coco Leche, was it called?
Yeah, Coco Leche.
Coco Leche. Don't
There
miss
was
Coco
just-
Leche.
Yeah, there was a ton of good food options in San Cristobal. As far as convenience goes and what each city offers, I know we've already touched on international franchises like Walmart and things like that, but it is important to mention that San Miguel de Allende offers Uber.
Yeah.
Now,
But
there is there's a catch to everything, I guess. The Uber here, it doesn't seem like there are that many cars out. Like we tried to take an Uber this morning and it wouldn't link us to a driver. It seemed like there was only one Uber out on the road.
Yeah, and
So-
he wouldn't accept it, I guess. But it's
Yeah.
nice to have the option. I guess on holidays and stuff, they probably drive more.
Yeah.
And maybe more will start driving as time progresses. But yeah. We
Yeah.
haven't had luck with Uber here, but it is here, so that's pretty nice. As far as walkability goes, I think it's a con for both of them. They're both equally. I think San Cristobal is the winner.
Yeah, they're honestly, to touch on this, we're going to put some clips over top of this with some sidewalk footage.
Both have the worst sidewalks we've seen of any city this
These
size.
sidewalks are something else, you guys. I'm going to have to say that San Miguel de Allende is worse.
Yeah.
It is worse because not only are the sidewalks thin and narrow, but so are the streets.
Yeah.
So when you step off of the sidewalk to kind of let ongoing people get past you, if you step off, you have to be wary of the cars because they're going to be close enough for their side mirror to swipe you.
Yeah, so you have to just really kind of watch where you're walking here.
Yeah.
But also, I think San Cristobal is just overall the winner for walkability and bike friendliness because not only is there that problem, there seems to be a lot of bus traffic and bigger truck traffic here.
Yeah.
To where you're kind of pinned. So in San Cristobal, it seemed like wherever we stayed in the city, we were within a 5 to 10 minute walk to just numerous restaurants and all that kind of stuff. Whereas here, it can be a bit further.
Yeah, and a reason why San Cristobal gets the win for walkability as well is because the number of pedestrian streets that they have in the city,
Yes,
right
big-
in the centro,
big win.
like coming off of all different sides, you have pedestrian only streets lined with restaurants and shops, tourism companies and things like that, where you don't have to worry about cars at all.
Yeah.
So that's a major, that just gives walkability a major win for San Cristobal. All right, so now we are going to talk about weather.
Yeah, the climates of both cities.
This one will be fun.
Yeah.
Really, I don't really know if technically you could give a winner per se,
Right.
because it really is based on everybody's own opinion of what
Yeah.
you are more comfortable in.
Yeah.
Now, the obvious cooler area is San Cristobal.
Definitely far cooler in San Cristobal. Now, both have great climates. Like here, you get a lot of sun. You get a lot of sunlight, but you don't get too much humidity. This would probably be considered overall, for most people, the better climate.
The warmer months for San Cristobal is from March to May, with their average temperature is 71.
And that's the rainy season. Low to mid 70s is what we were experiencing, and it would rain for a couple hours a day. So it kind of reminds you of like Portland in the spring, maybe. Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington. It's a very, very mild climate where you're not really feeling anything too extreme, except that it does get cold at night. And
Yeah.
it's pretty much, except for the very middle of the day, it's pretty much sweater weather in San Cristobal.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I
much sweater
actually,
weather.
coming there, I had to do a little bit of shopping. We got new sweaters
Yeah.
because I packed like dresses and shorts, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna need pants.
Yeah, and we were coming from Yucatan.
Yeah.
So we got there and it started raining and the sun went down, and I think it was the first couple nights it hit like in the 40s with rain. But then the next day comes and it warms up to a good 75 degrees. So I think the climate there is very pleasant. It's kind of hard to give one win to the other.
So So yeah, with San Miguel de Allende, the warmest months are from April to June, and they say that the average temperature in those months is about 85, which is pretty much what we've been experiencing here. I think the hottest day was probably 89 for us.
89, but it drops down. That's like a window during the middle of the day where it gets into the mid to high 80s, but then it'll drop down to the 70s a couple hours later, then to the 60s, and by the middle of the night, it's in the 50s. So it's nothing extreme, and it's not very humid at all. So like right now, it's like, what, 2:30 p.m., and it's probably about 80 degrees, and there's no humidity in the air, it seems like.
Yeah, and I like that. I don't like humidity. I think San Cristobal isn't really that humid either.
No.
Not at all, really.
But one thing that's really, really nice and special about San Cristobal is you have so many different climates at your disposal. So
yeah.
Chiapas is one of the 3 most biodiverse states in all of Mexico, along with Veracruz and Oaxaca. And with that, you have so many different climates. Like literally it feels like driving from maybe like Seattle to South America in a matter of 4 hours. So within a 1-hour drive from San Cristobal, you drive down from the mountains into Tuxtla, and you're in sort of an environment like Phoenix, Arizona. It's hot, it's desert-like, it's mountainous, and
it's really dry.
Yeah.
A lot of cactus, like that type of vibe. So it's definitely like just from a quick car or bus ride, it's like you're in a completely different environment.
Which is nice because you go back up to your little Portland, Oregon type weather in San Cristobal whenever you're ready to escape the heat. But whenever you get tired of that, just take a weekend trip down to Tuxtla, 55 minutes down the mountain, and you're in 95-degree weather. Whereas if you go the other direction towards Palenque, there's like the notorious windy highway that leads to Palenque from San Cristobal. Before you know it, you're going to be in like dense green jungle that's sweaty, it's humid.
Yeah, it's like total jungle vibes. Like
like monkeys. You have full-blown
howler
jungle.
Monkeys. So it's like in either direction, you're completely driving into a different place.
Yep, but if you go like directly south or directly past Tuxtla up into the mountains, see the elevation changes are just constant. So if you do that, you've got rolling green fields, you got green forests. I've honestly never seen such extreme climate changes as I have in Chiapas. So that's a really big plus, I think, to living in San Cristobal, is you have every type of climate a day trip away that you can think of. So as far as things to do in the area, I think it really depends on you.
Yeah, because there are a lot of things to do in both cities. So I feel like in San Cristobal, they offer more tourism.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you walk on any of the pedestrian streets, they're almost always lined with people who are offering tours, and we actually did take a tour that was really fun. They picked us up at our hotel and they took us to El Chiflan Cascada, which was a gorgeous waterfall with bright blue water where you could hike, swim, zip line, things like that. And then we went on down to the Guatemala border to the Lagos de Montebello.
The reason I think for that is because that area has more like bucket list worthy excursions for sure. Like you have the Sumidero Canyon for one, which is a massive canyon that's one of the big must-see places in Mexico.
Not far outside of San Cristobal at all.
No, so about an hour at the most. It's right outside of Tuxtla. And you have places like the Palenque ruins that are in the area. You have tons of waterfalls. Like she was talking about the Montebello lakes. So just a lot of bucket list items near San Cristobal. But whereas here, it's kind of hard. It really depends on what you like, because some of what are considered Mexico's best cities or most beautiful cities, like Guanajuato and San Miguel itself, are right here. And then you have Puebla, Mexico City, Querétaro, San Luis, all within easy day or weekend trips away from here. So I think city-wise, absolutely attractions, close by things to do is in this area, which gives you access to more restaurants, museums, parks, things like that. But as far as like bucket list nature attractions, San Cristobal and Chiapas is definitely the winner on things to do.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And
with the local attractions, it kind of depends, like if you're into wine or into coffee. So if you're like a wine person or you can easily be both, but here is like wine heaven. Like there's wineries, places you can go tour, try wines.
Yeah, wine tastings and things like that. Sometimes there's even like spas and resorts that are also part of winery.
Yeah, and here they sell Chiapas coffee. They advertise Chiapas coffee, like, oh, Chiapas coffee, because it's famous, along with like Oaxacan coffee and Veracruz coffee. is some of the most famous in all of Mexico. So in Chiapas and San Cristobal, it's like coffee heaven where you can...
Yeah, there are tons of cafes where you can get the most amazing coffee. It's actually one of the first places I saw the menu will say like so many different ways for them to make your coffee. Whether you want like French press, anything like that. There's just so many different ways they offer to make coffee. And there are even coffee shops that offer tours to the plantations for you to learn how they grow coffee beans and how they make their own coffee. So it's definitely, if you're a coffee connoisseur, San Cristobal is the perfect place for you to go and taste and drink your coffee daily. But if you like wine, then San Miguel de Allende is for you. So the next category we're going to discuss is the friendliness that we've experienced in each city and also just a bit about the culture.
Yeah. So I think both cities are just huge melting pots, really interesting places for their size. They have a ton of people drawn from all over the world, which leads to lots of food, culinary scene, arts. For me, San Cristobal has the edge because you have more indigenous culture there. And with that, you have indigenous villages nearby, you have indigenous markets, crafts, arts. That stuff is here too, but it's not as grand
prevalent.
scale. So for healthcare, this is obviously a very important topic that we get asked about a lot. I don't want to give too much information about it because it's such an important topic, you know, as far as you've got to make sure you've got reliable healthcare close by. I will say that in Mexico in general, healthcare actually is a lot better of a situation than some people will think. You have doctor's visits you can pay out of pocket for that are really affordable, where you can just get basic checkups. With any city with over 100,000 population, you're going to have, you know, numerous doctor's offices, dentists, lots of pharmacies, of course, and then you're also going to have a hospital. So either way, you're not in any kind of danger. And plus you have Tuxtla Gutierrez with bigger hospitals down the mountain, but you have just some enormous hospitals here. Plus, if you do need to get back to your home country, wherever that might be, if you're living in Mexico from another country, Mexico City is more likely to have direct flights to get you there faster.
I would say because of the location, we talked about how close you are to well-populated cities, you have more options for healthcare, better hospitals in bigger areas. That's one major plus to San Miguel de Allende if you're thinking about health. We love to recommend like Facebook groups to see what other people are paying or their experience with healthcare in whatever city they're living in.
The Facebook groups will point you in the right direction. I would always get a second opinion because not everybody knows what they're talking about. But what we normally do is read a lot of comments. You can go into those Facebook groups like Expats in Mexico and On the Road in Mexico. These Facebook groups and search different topics, and you can get pointed in the right direction to further do research. But people are on there always talking about these topics, so it's really, really helpful to get on there and check that out before coming to any city. But in terms of safety, we'll touch on that briefly. Personally, we both feel extremely safe in both cities, and they both generally have a reputation for being safe areas. But I will say that Chiapas, it has a lot of like tension with the government. There's a lot of protests that are very common in the area and different things going on there, but that doesn't really make it more dangerous per se. And even though San Miguel de Allende itself is very safe, the state that it's in, Guanajuato, has recently been emerging as one of the more dangerous in Mexico. On paper, just because of some smaller towns in the state where the murder rate is like extremely high, some of the highest in Mexico, and that's been a more recent thing, so that could keep going as time goes on. So that's something to watch, but generally both cities are extremely safe and we feel very safe there.
So we're gonna go ahead and tell you guys which city that we would choose, and for me it's gonna be San Cristobal.
I knew it was gonna be San Cristobal. We both are obsessed with San Cristobal, so for me it's a no-brainer. Both are incredible cities, definitely not coming for San Miguel.
Just as far as everything that we've talked about in this video, the pros outweigh the cons for San Cristobal for me.
We do have to say San Miguel is more picturesque, has a better location. Better location. A lot of things going for overall a better climate for most people, but for San Cristobal wins. We love the restaurant scene the most. We love the vibes, the culture.
The surrounding environment, the adventure travel, because that's a big one for us.
So the most important thing with these videos is just to sort of show you what both cities are like vibe-wise and the style of each
just
city.
to directly compare them, and that way if you're thinking about visiting, you'll have an idea of what to expect from both cities. We want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked our content, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We're going to be coming out with more versus videos,
comparison videos. Yeah, we're going to do a lot of these
comparison videos, and then also we have a lot of travel vlogs from all around Mexico coming up. So make sure you subscribe, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yep. Adios, guys. Hasta luego.
Adios.
See you next time.